Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, today I am going to take up next lecture on thanatology, that is lecture number 3, and it will include hypostasis, early, that is an early change after death, and then I will also take up late change after death, that is putrefaction. These two are very important topics and many questions are asked from this portion. So, what is hypostasis? It's post-mortem staining of dead body. There are some other names for hypostasis: lividity or post-mortem lividity, livor mortis, and sagillation. So at least there are 4 names: number 1 hypostasis, number 2 post-mortem staining, number 3 lividity, number 4 livor mortis, and number 5 sagillation. So what is it? It is post-mortem staining or discoloration of skin as well as viscera. Now what happens? What is the basis of this phenomena? There is appearance of red coloration on skin after death due to gravitational pooling of blood in dependent and unsupported portions of body. Blood accumulates in capillaries, distends them, and makes them show up on surface of skin and internal organs as areas of purple red discoloration. So I hope you got the mechanism. After death, what happens? Due to effect of gravity, blood accumulates in blood vessels, small blood vessels, then distends them and then makes them visible on the surface of skin and internal organs. Now this is so the body surface appears red or purple red. So this is a very confusing sign. It to an just ordinary person or non-medical person or who is not involved in autopsy examination, it may be, he may think of some hemorrhage, some injury, some antemortem phenomena which has resulted in this condition, but it's a normal passive phenomena. Just because circulation stops and blood is pooling downward due to gravity, so there is nothing else. So what happens once the blood stops circulating in body? It tends to pool in large venous reservoirs of trunk, that means abdomen. Then it drains by gravity into veins and venules of dependent parts, producing discoloration. So again, this is same thing, same mechanism, same which I told you in previous slide. So it is nothing new in that. Then blood doesn't clot after death, so it remains fluid. So this form of fluid blood is seen in both natural and unnatural deaths. So because the blood loses its fibrinogen, and any clot formed within first hour or so after death re-dissolve, leaving most of the blood permanently fluid. So this fluidity is due to action of fibrinolysin, because this fibrinolysin will stop or inhibit fibrinogen, which is responsible for clot mechanism. Fibrinolysin is released or secreted into bloodstream during the process of dying. Hence, the blood is always found fluid in the capillaries and venules, and because of this presence of blood, this hypostasis or post-mortem staining is seen. Before moving forward, I want to tell you some SCQs of thanatology. Not all of them, but some of them which relate specially to today's and previous lecture and today's topics, like what is sudden death and list causes of sudden natural death. So that I have told you in last lecture. Next question is name main early post-mortem changes occurring in dead body. Briefly mention medico-legal significance of rigor mortis. So that I have already told you. Another question on rigor mortis is a dead body was recovered from a forest. On initial examination on site, rigor mortis was found fully developed. So, and another question on rigor mortis is stiffness. There is stiffness all over on autopsy, on body on autopsy table. The body on autopsy table, there is stiffness all over. What is basis and mechanism of development of this phenomenon? So these are some of the questions about rigor mortis which I have joined together in one question. Many times it has been asked. Question on rigor mortis is asked many times. And this question, next question is also important. What is medico-legal importance of number 1 hypostasis, number 2 cadaveric spasm, number 3 mummification. Now hypostasis I will tell you today, medico-legal importance. Cadaveric spasms you already know, I told you in last lecture, and mummification also. In putrefaction, when we will discuss, then we will take it up. Next question, a dead body of an elderly male was found on a waste dumping ground. The body was swollen and head protruding eyes and tongue. It was discolored and emitting foul smell. Now this is a scenario given to you, and then you are asked 3 questions. Number 1, name the above condition of the body. Number 2, what are the processes involved that lead to above condition? Number 3, what are stages of this condition? So this is about putrefaction. This condition is putrefaction, and processes and stages I will discuss today. So these are some of the SCQs. Now after mechanism of hypostasis, next important question which I just showed you is medico-legal importance of hypostasis. There are 5 points regarding medico-legal importance. Number 1, it's a reliable sign of death. Number 2, it tells about position of body at time of death, whether changed or not after death. So it is a reliable sign of death like rigor mortis. Number 2, it gives us position of the body at the time of that death, and if it is changed, even then it will tell. How it will tell this? You know that this hypostasis is first, it is not fixed. It can, if you change the position of dead body, it will also change. But after a few hours, it is fixed. And then, if you change the position of dead body, it will not go away. It will remain on the same place. So this is about position of dead body. Number 3, hypostasis color suggests cause of death. Now, mostly it is purple red color, but in many some cases it may have different color due to different causes. So, if it is of cherry red color, that may be due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Death is due to carbon monoxide poisoning. If it is reddish pink, then death may be due to hypothermia. If it is brown in color, death may be due to nitrate or nitrite poisoning. If it is black, this is seen usually in death from opium poisoning. And if it is bronze, death may be due to Clostridium perfringens and septicemia due to this microorganism. So number 4 important point is it gives us time since death. So as you know, like rigor mortis, hypostasis also develops few minutes, like 30 minutes after death. Then first it is a small patch, then there are many patches, then they join together, then they are seen all over the body. So it's a time taking process, starting from 30 minutes after death and spreading over like 12 hours or so. So by looking or examining the extent of hypostasis, how far it has spread, you can estimate how much time has passed. Now, distribution of hypostasis is also important. That gives the circumstances of death. That means which part of the body it contains more than others, how it is distributed on body, different body parts. So, for example, in hanging, you will see that hypostasis is mainly found on the tips, on extremities, on hands and feet, the fingers of hand and feet. So this is because of position of the body in hanging. And then so by this you can know the circumstances of death, that is hanging. Number 2, drowning. In freshwater drowning, there may not be, hypostasis may be absent because the body is constantly changing position. And while in other waters, salt water or stagnant water, it may have a unique pattern of hypostasis, which will be according to the position of the body. So this distribution of hypostasis gives us the circumstances of death. So these are 5 points which are important, and you can find them in Parekh. Now, what is pseudo bruise? Now, you know what is bruise. It's an injury which is due to rupture of a blood vessel underneath skin, and the color, it appears reddish, then different colors, greenish, yellow, and on skin. Pseudo bruise is a phenomena in which isolated areas of post-mortem staining or hypostasis or lividity may be observed over the front and sides of neck in a person lying on his back. So generally external jugular vein and common facial vein they exhibit this phenomena of hypostasis, and they are because of since they are prominent veins, they are close to skin, so that discoloration of these veins is visible on skin, and it looks like a bruise, but actually it's not a bruise, it's hypostasis. But because of appearance resemblance, it is called pseudo bruise. So there are some differences between both. You can find out and you can confirm whether it is a hypostasis or bruise. So hypostasis is a post-mortem phenomenon, so it will be only seen in dead person, while bruise is ante-mortem, it is a life phenomenon. Hypostasis will always be on the dependent parts of the body, but bruise can be anywhere because it is due to injury. Now hypostasis is generally on surface of the body, and bruise is maybe deeper inside. Hypostasis is not raised above surface, but bruise is raised due to vital reaction of all signs of inflammations are there. Now hypostasis, there is capillovenous engorgement. That means there is no rupture and the blood is inside vessels. But in bruise, the blood comes out, it is rupture of blood vessels, so it is extravasation of blood in bruise. Next, a small important thing is cadaveric spasm. It's more related with it's seen in sudden death. It is due to emotional tension, so it is more related with rigor mortis, stiffening of muscles. So it is present at the time of death. It disappears in putrefaction. It is seen in battle casualties, fall victims, drowning, cases of drowning and suicides. Usually the hand is stiff, very hard, and there may be some weapon or something in the hand, in the grip, which is not easy to break. Some force is applied. The main difference between cadaveric spasm and rigor mortis is that cadaveric spasm is not post-mortem phenomena. It occurs at the time of death due to or just before death due to very high emotional tension, but it's visible after death. It remains. So that is why it may be thought a post-mortem phenomena, but actually it is ante-mortem. Medical importance of cadaveric spasm is that it helps to determine manner of death. As you see the cases, the examples, it is in emotional tension, it is in war, it is seen in drowning, suicides. So it gives you manner, that means whether death was due to homicide or suicide or accidental. So that is its medical legal importance. Now after early changes we come to late changes after death, or also we can say some changes are late and some are very late, like mummification. So late changes, most prominent is putrefaction. It's also called decomposition. Then there may be late or very late change, adipocere formation, spanification, and mummification, and another phenomena which is seen in babies, that is maceration. So I will take up the detail of these in next lecture. Thank you so much.